Mm.
You just
I got
might not be able to breathe.
9. I got 9. I'm going to try 9.
Okay, guys, I think it's gonna work. The recording is gonna work. Okay, Joe. Oh boy, I hope we don't watch this live. Okay.
9
All
down the
right.
hatch.
You
All
did
right, I'm
it.
gonna go up
Yep.
at 10 and we're gonna start a challenge.
All
Don't try
right.
this at home, guys.
No, you
Dr.
can.
Saunders is like, oh no, we've
Well,
really gone off the rails here. Okay, so we're excited that you guys are here. Uh, I did get this to record. So if you want to go back and watch the replay for any of our webinars, we really encourage you to do that. You can find that at Barton Publishing. What is it called? What is our channel called? I should probably know that.
Barton
Barton
Webinar.
Publishing Webinars. And we have so
Barton
many webinars.
webinars.
Well, the Barton webinar, like the at is Barton webinar, but the name is Barton Publishing Webinar, which is kind of funny. So either way, you're going to find it if you type
Oh,
one of those. So, but anyway, all of these are recorded. We are 300 plus webinars right now. So you're going to find a lot of information talking about not only uh, type 2 diabetes, but brain health, gut health, um, heart health, all different topics. Lots of really good information. And today, if you were really confused about why we were trying to play a song and sing it, it's because it's the title of our webinar today. What's love got to do with it? Does anyone know who sang that song? Is that even the title? I would assume that's the title.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, comment in the chat if you know who sings that. You get some extra points for the webinar if you get that right. And we're going to talk about how to best care for your heart. And so we want to know how to love our heart, but also I know that love can do some funny things to your heart in a very real way. And so we're going to talk about that as well. Say hello. There we go. We got
Mm.
it. People are guessing. Tina Turner. All right. Does that now comment and tell us how old you are because that would be fun to know as well. Okay, so I mean my okay, all right. So let's dig into this. First of all, Dr. Saunders is a medical doctor, but he is not your doctor. And so we just ask that you would chat with your provider before you implement any of the things that we may say today. Now, there may be things that we tell you to do, like eat healthy. I don't feel like you have to talk to your doctor about that, but if you want to, you can. So let's dig into this. Heart health. What's love got to do with it? How do we care for our heart, Dr. Saunders?
Well, love is a big part of caring for your heart. And it's not surprising that we use the word heart for love, right? And we put hearts on things that we love, and we just we've had that symbol. It's in our society, the worldwide. They don't use heart for a symbol of love. The other people thought the heart was the center of the consciousness. It was a different way of looking at it. But we use hearts to indicate love. So why do we use hearts to indicate love? Well, because what our heart is what keeps our blood flowing through our body. In the same sense, love is what keeps us flowing, what keeps life flowing through us. And it's the connection that we make with other people. And it turns out that this is really important. So we talk about this in the Heart Healthy book. We talk about how important connection is and how important it is to have people that you love and have other people love you, to be loved and to love um, as part of your heart health. And we put it in terms of the biomechanics of it, about the chemistry, how stress is involved in this, because stress is a big part of heart disease. The more stressed you are, the more heart disease you get. Cortisol levels from your adrenal glands prevent your arteries from repairing, and you end up with more atherosclerosis because of this heart problem. You also get angina, which like Prinzmetal's angina, or what we've discussed before, Takotsubo syndrome, which was first described in Japan in women, widows, who, when their husbands died, they would have heart attacks. and they were doing X-rays at the time, and their heart would have a funny shape that looked like an octopus trap, which is called takotsubo. That's why they called it takotsubo syndrome, because it looked like an octopus. Why did it look like that? Well, because there was an area of the heart where the blood vessels constricted and stops the blood from flowing, so the heart doesn't beat correctly in that area. The muscles don't work in that area, but other areas they do. So that's why the heart took on that funny shape. And that is how the heart can be affected by the stress that you have. And so these widows, their husbands died. They're in a lot of distress. And so the blood vessels constrict down, and that's the sympathetic nervous system. That's what it does. The sympathetic nervous system, it controls your blood pressure, your blood flow, but it controls blood flow to every inch of your body, like everywhere in your body. You could have one muscle getting blood flow and another muscle right next to it getting no blood flow, because the sympathetic nervous system closed down the blood vessels. And you guys have all seen this. If you think of, like, if you go out and throw snowballs without any gloves on, you look at your hands and they're white. And like, why are they so white? Well, it's because the sympathetic nervous system wants to conserve all of that heat and not just let it go out in your hands. So it slows down, constricts all the blood vessels going to your hands to keep the heat in your core, because that's where it needs to be. So your hands get like freezing cold, and then you go ahead and put them under cold water, and you go, it's hot, because the cold water is warmer than your hands are, and so it makes the cold water seem hot. So the constriction of blood vessels is one way that that stress can affect your heart, and one of the reasons why love is very important. But that's only like the mechanical part of it. And then the chemistry part of it is you build up more plaques in your arteries when you have high stress. And that's another part of it. And then there's the emotional part of it and how things work in your life. People who connect with other people, people who have love, people who love other people and have a community where they connect with others in their community, they have a lower stress life generally. And you think of, I don't know, maybe communities that you've been in, and you think, man, my family was not a lot of fun growing up with. Man, we were just yelling at each other all the time. My parents were yelling at each other. It's really interesting how that works. The connection is more important than those events, the stressful events that happen in your life. You have stressful events, but overall having a connection with others is actually more important. And the community is more important. So for heart disease, think about this. If you go to places where they have people that live to be over 100, more than usual, they call them the blue zones because of a book that was written about that. And the blue zones, they have very low heart disease rates, which is the #1 cause of death in the United States. And everybody goes to the blue zones and they start talking about, well, what do they eat there, right? Because they live longer, and they must be eating some special food or something different than everybody else. No, not it. It's not food. I actually got a book on the blue zones, a cookbook that was all about how to cook like people in the blue zones. Okay, that it's interesting, but that's not the reason. And then you look at, what water are they drinking, or what do they have? What supplements are they taking? No, none of that stuff. All the stuff we think of, what about smoking? And same as other. What about drinking alcohol? Yeah, same as other. What about eating meat? Well, whatever. Some do, some don't. It's all over the place. There's no consistency except for one thing: connection. They connect. And so you take people out of Italy, for example, that have a high level of people who live to be over 100 centenarians, and you bring them to Pennsylvania, and they maintain their community, and they still have a high level of centenarians. It's not just genetics. It's not just what you eat. It's not the supplements that you take. It's not the exercise. And that's all important, like it's a part of it. But really, when it comes down to brass tacks, it's connections. It's love. Love is more important than all those other things we're talking about, all the things that we stress over, and your doctor says, you better stop smoking or you're going to die. Well, yeah, but there are actually things that are way above that as far as more important. You better stop drinking or you're going to die. Well, some people really drink too much and really should stop drinking. But as far as heart health goes, by far the most important thing is love.
Very interesting. So I'm sure many of you have questions about this. So please post your questions in the Q&A if you're watching this live. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can comment in the comment area as well, or in the chat. I wanted to see here what Judy said. Sorry. Okay. Judy said, I had a friend's father pass away. In the meantime, before her father's burial, her husband had 2 heart attacks. Husband got out of the hospital, but was going to go back for a stent. Meantime, they took a trip to Yellowstone, and my friend had a heart attack while there. They did not do any surgery on her and said she had broken heart syndrome. Husband had his surgery of 2 stents last week. He's doing very well. However, his wife is very weak and tired.
Wow. And that's the thing. People who are connected, they lose that connection, and they're much more likely to get heart attacks. It's more common in men than women, actually. So when a man's wife dies, his death rate goes up dramatically. When a woman's husband dies, her death rate doesn't change significantly.
I had a lot of comments right there that I had to hold myself back from.
Well, it's a thing. It's actually statistically, it's a thing. Nobody knows why that is.
Nope, we don't. All right.
Ask Dr. Saunders if you've had any patients who have healed their heart by healing their relationships.
Oh, wow. See, I know some who've healed their relationships. And see, the thing is, when they're in bad relationships and they come and complain, and then they either get out of a bad relationship or repair the relationship, and then I don't see them anymore because they're not coming into complaining anymore. So, yeah, that really could be an actual thing that I may not know about, because now, hey, I don't have any more problems, and they don't come in.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, share your stories with us. Let us know what questions you have in the Q&A. We do have some questions that have come in. This is kind of a side note here, but I'm going to share this. Rayanne, who's been on our webinars for quite some time, said that she just wanted to give us an update on her latest blood work. I got my A1C down to 6. I'm officially pre-diabetic now. Just a reminder, I started out with an A1C of 12.1 in November of 2023. Water fasting once a month since November of 23 until March of 25 to control blood sugar. I'm now fasting every other month starting this month.
Wow. Very good. Good work.
Yes.
Good
So
work.
I'm curious,
See,
also.
Okay. So
go ahead.
that drop in A1C is bigger than anything, like insulin doesn't do that. There's no drugs that do that. So what you did, you could say, if you were to go to your endocrinologist, then the endocrinologist would say, wow, that's miraculous. How did you do that? Sometimes they do.
but they'll probably still keep you on your medicine. Anyway, so but I am curious too. Tell us, did you use the diabetes solution kit in this process or were you just fasting? Share with us some more details about that because I kind of know your story, but I think it'd be good to share with everybody. Okay. All right, let's dig into some more questions here. First, Lily says, some people say that omega-3s only go to the heart and do not cross the blood-brain barrier. Do you think that omega-3s cross the barrier to the brain?
Oh, absolutely they do. Absolutely. There's no question about it. So the makeup of the fats in your brain, in your red blood cells, in the membranes around all the cells in your body, is what you happen to be eating at that time when the cell is made. It is just fascinating the way this works because you'd think there'd be some consistency like, well, you have to have a certain amount of saturated fats and a certain amount of unsaturated, a certain amount of omega-6 and omega-3, and then that makes a cell membrane, right? And that's not the way it works. It just grabs, oh, we have this available, we have this available, we have this available, pulls it all in and just makes it out of whatever's available. And that's what you just ate that day. And that's it. And so, yes, your brain. So when they're saying the omega-3s don't get into the brain, omega-3s don't have a blood-brain barrier. They get right through and right into the brain. But most of the cells in your brain were the same ones that were there when you're born. You're born with them because you can't change them out because they have connections that are really important. And when you remove a brain cell then and you put a new one in there, now you have to remake all those connections. That's not the way the system works. So yes, they're saying you can't like redo your brain by taking omega-3s, but whatever new stuff you're making is being made with whatever you're eating. So if you're eating omega-3s, that's what's going to be there.
Okay. Rayanne said, I did use the solution kit, so the diabetes solution kit, but 72-hour water fast was the key. I'm not taking medication. I'm not taking, or I did, and I did shock my endocrinologist when I was at 6.4, but he doesn't think it'll continue, and he's still pushing the drugs.
Oh my gosh.
My next
That is so
appointment,
craament
my next appointment is at the end of July, and I hope I'm normal by then and I can fire him.
You fire.
Oh, I love that. And I will just say this in the doctor's defense, and Dr. Saunders says this over and over. When you go to a medical doctor, they are only taught about medication to solve problems. And so it's not that he's a bad person, but that's what they know. That's all they know, unless they're studying, like Dr. Saunders is. So just throwing that out there.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. Elaine says history, age 78, 2013, uterine cancer, entail of pancreas. Surgery in 2020, lost about a fourth of pancreas plus spleen. C peptide test, 6324, 2.21. What's NG? Nano?
Nanograms per
Okay.
milliliter. Yeah.
Okay. So the range was 0.8 to 3.85. Number one, the pancreas seems to be working. Why am I on insulin?
You
That's the
are.
first question.
That's a beautiful question. Pancreas seems to be working. Why am I on insulin? Exactly. That's the point. Your pancreas is working. If your C-peptide is 2.2, you absolutely have enough insulin coming from your pancreas. So adding more insulin makes you more insulin resistant and creates more of the problem. You don't want to be more insulin resistant. So the reason you're put on insulin is because your blood sugar is high. So all you got to do is get your blood sugar down and then go off the insulin.
All right. Her second question is, why such fluctuations in readings? Seems to be going higher.
Seems to be going, what higher? The C-peptide?
Yeah, I think she was saying she's 2.21, but the range that she's had is 0.8 to 3.85.
Oh, why is there a big range?
Yeah.
Oh, because this test is done while people are eating or fasting. If you're fasting, it's going to be less than 1, usually around 1. And then and after you eat, it'll go up to 3, 4, even 5 sometimes. So the range is just that's what's expected. And if it's a fasting specimen, you did your C-peptide, which usually is, and you're at 2.2, that means you have some insulin resistance, because that means you're making more insulin than you need when you're fasting.
Okay. Next question is, what is the truth about cinnamon? Does it really work?
Define the word work. What do you mean by work? Cinnamon does help you become more sensitive to insulin, and that was the primary reason why we put it in Cinechroma. It's something that because people who have insulin resistance need a little bit of help, that's put in there. The others are nutrients that also help you be more sensitive to insulin, but they are nutrients. They're actual vitamins and minerals that you need to function, for things to function well. And they're common deficiencies in people who have type 2. So yeah, cinnamon actually does help, but that's not the answer. The answer is still to decrease your insulin resistance with your diet. So phase 1.
Can you comment on the difference between like table cinnamon and the cinnamon inside Cinechroma? So see, some people might hear you and think, oh, I could just put cinnamon on my food.
Well, and there may be some benefit to that. Like, gosh, cinnamon rolls, something we've been advertising for years. Cinnamon rolls. Does the cinnamon in the cinnamon roll help you use the sugar in the cinnamon roll? Maybe to some extent, but thank you for asking, because the water extract of cinnamon that we put in Cinechroma is much more concentrated. You would have to eat, I don't remember what it was, something like a couple of tablespoons of ground cinnamon to get the equivalent of what you get in a capsule of Cinechroma. I remember when we went to the supplement manufacturer and we were discussing this, and I think that's what he said. It's like that much. So, one cinnamon roll is not going to have a couple of tablespoons of cinnamon. So I don't know.
Okay. Anonymous says, what does it mean to have yellow or pink vision when looking at a white background? I was told it could be hypovolemia of the retina or plaque in the brain. Would taking Nervala help?
Nervala help. Okay, so when you're looking at a white background and you're seeing yellow or pink, what it means is that it's either the retinas from not getting enough blood flow or not restoring the cones. It's the rods. No, the cones. The cones in the retina aren't restoring properly. And that's often from not enough energy or not enough rhodopsin. Could be that you're missing some pigments. I don't know. I wonder if you were to eat a whole bunch of berries and lycopene found in tomatoes, tomato sauce, stuff like that. And then the other possibility would be the brain itself. It's the interpretation. So the retinas sense it, and then the occipital lobe of the brain interprets it. And so why would the brain be interpreting it wrong? Maybe it's the equivalent of something like ringing in your ears, where everybody thought for a long time it was a problem with the cochlea in the ear, the actual sensation in the ear. Turns out it's not in the apparatus in the ear. It's actually in the brain where you get ringing in the ears, tinnitus. And maybe that's the equivalent thing in the occipital lobe of the brain. Gosh, and I don't know enough about it, so that was all a guess. So if I were to guess about those two things, number one would be if it's the retinas, make sure you're getting enough, pigments astaxanthin, zeaxanthin, lycopene, all of those things. We have an REDS2 supplement that has those things in it that might be useful, and that's specifically for eyeballs. And then if it's for the brain, one thing to consider, like for the ringing in the ears, tinnitus, would be to have enough omega-3. Higher omega-3 lowers the inflammatory response. So it's not necessarily that there's a lot of inflammation and you need to decrease inflammation. It's the more omega-6, the higher your inflammatory response, and the higher the omega-3, the lower the inflammatory response. And there needs to be a balance there. And most Americans are way out of balance, like we have. I measure people, and it's 7 to 10 times more omega-6 than omega-3. But if you're thinking about where does that come from, well, the oils we drink, let's see, corn oil and soy oil have like 30 times more omega-6 than omega-3. And then, let's see, what was the other? Oh, canola oil is a little better. Safflower is terrible. It's like 0 omega-3 and total omega-6. Olive oil is better, but it's still 13 to 1, omega-6 to omega-3, but this has tiny amounts. Anyway, so getting enough omega-3 is really difficult. So you can get it from flax seeds, chia seeds, and fish oil. So almost everyone I recommend a fish oil supplement, just because it's so easy to get omega-6 in our culture, in our food supply, and really hard to get omega-3. It's just really hard. You have to actively seek it to get it.
Okay. Marcia said, I've been introduced to a procedure called plaquex for a plaque removal in arteries and blood vessels. Have you ever heard of this procedure?
I don't know. Is it plaquex? I've heard of it, and I don't recall what it is.
Okay.
Plaque removal. No. Gosh.
We get this question a lot, though. What do you recommend to remove plaque from arteries?
Okay. I don't think people should try to remove plaque from arteries, although there has been some research that EDTA chelation therapy, like intravenous EDTA, does remove plaque. The NIH did a study, and they showed it actually worked in some people. It doesn't work in everyone, but I think, like, if you have plaques in your arteries, then to realize that and say, okay, why are the plaques there? Why did I get clots in my arteries? Because that's where they come from, clots. And why don't my clots dissolve? So looking at the reason why, and that's part of what we do in the Healthy Heart Solution Kit, is to look at why do I have that problem? And then what can I do to overcome that? So if you have something like lipoprotein A, excessive lipoprotein A, well, that's a genetic thing. You're not going to get rid of lipoprotein A. But what you could do is do a clot dissolver. So you would just take a daily enzyme called nattokinase or lumbrokinase that dissolves clots. And you would just have that all the time so that you have that ability to dissolve clots. Lipoprotein A inhibits it, and then this enzyme can help you to dissolve clots.
Okay, a couple questions about, Rayanne answered it. Someone had asked, what is water fasting? And Rayanne said, water fasting is 72 hours of just drinking water, nothing else.
Yeah. And so the reason we say water fast, because there's also dry fast. Some people, I had somebody in my office just this morning, who said he just did his, I forgot what the number was, 61st 72-hour dry fast. And so he fasts for 72 hours without eating or drinking anything. And he said he was really grateful because he feels great. He's getting better and better. Because I have to ask questions about how he feels, like depression and memory problems and all that kind of stuff. And he goes, no, I'm doing better and better as time goes on. I'm feeling better. I'm happier and I'm more functional than I was before. I can still remember the 6 numbers when I log into my bank account and I have to go to my phone and get the 6 numbers. I can still remember them and go to the computer and type of it. Anyway, so he does 72 hours once a month of dry fasting. 72 hours with water is 72-hour water fast.
All right. Okay. Couple questions about enzymes. Do you recommend a certain brand of the enzymes you mentioned? Where do you get them to help prevent clot formation?
Okay, so the brands, there's a lot of brands out there, and I don't know of one brand that's better than any other. There is one. It's a little more expensive. It's called Blokey. I don't know. Blouke. Ouke, yeah. And it's lumbrokinase is what it is, and it's supposed to be the best. They've done clinical studies on it and shown, proven that you can dissolve clots and that active clotting, and people can take it and it works. And they have the actual research. I know some. You do have to be careful because sometimes people say that the enzyme's in there and there isn't the amount that they say is in there. So a good quality brand, something, I don't know, national brand, as long as it's generally good quality. Oh, and so the 2 are nattokinase and the other one's lumbrokinase. So either of those are good clot dissolvers.
I gotta go to my Q&A again here. Let's see. Parvin says, does Crestor cholesterol meds affect your brain or memory?
Okay, statin drugs decrease your ability to make cholesterol. Cholesterol is essential for a lot of functions, and in the brain, it's especially important for making the lining around, what did they call it? Darn it. It's Schwann cells that make, anyway, it's the insulation around all of your nerves. And cholesterol is essential for that. And also making new cells. So in order to be healthy, myelin, yeah. So myelin is made out of cholesterol. And so these things, when you lower the cholesterol, you lower the body's ability to make these things. And so for some people, it progresses or helps them progress to memory problems, things like dementia. And so, yes, there is a correlation of taking a statin drug for cholesterol, having too low a cholesterol and dementia as a result. So then why do they give these out if it's going to cause dementia? Well, not everybody gets dementia. So some people do just fine and don't have that issue. But also remember that a cardiologist is very focused on the heart, and that's all the cardiologist is focused on. So when she gives out a statin drug, she's not thinking about your brain. Your brain's just completely irrelevant to her. So you have to think about what the big picture, or you have to have somebody who knows, who can help you with the big picture, because the specialist is a specialist for a reason. That's all I have to think about, just the heart. I don't have to think about anything else.
Someone had said, is it called epineurum?
Epineurum. Oh yeah, epineurum. No, that's a membrane. But yeah, that's on the top of the neurons. Yeah, no, it was myelin. Yeah, the myelin sheath. That's what I was thinking of.
Will cayenne dissolve clots? Gail would like to know.
Cayenne. Okay. That's interesting. Cayenne is actually used for a different purpose. It's used to induce clotting in people who are bleeding. Like women that are having excessive menstrual cycles, or postmenopausal women that have vaginal bleeding, or people that have excessive bloody noses. I've recommended cayenne, and that actually works. But I don't know if cayenne makes you clot more in your arteries and can create a problem with the heart. Gosh, I never thought of that. Because that's the problem with focusing. You focus on one thing, and you may lose the big picture. It's just too easy to lose the big picture. But so the answer is no. I don't believe cayenne dissolves clots.
Okay. Anonymous said, why would I do a dry fast as opposed to a water fast?
Okay. There's some evidence. It's really hard to find. It was the research done many years ago, and they did research in animals. And they found that if you don't put anything into your stomach, then you have this hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. And what it does is it stimulates human growth hormone so that you repair your body, and you repair everything. You repair your intestines, you clean out your brain, all the cleanses, detox, everything is happening. And these hormones are inducing all of this cleansing to happen in your body. The hormones are telling your body, okay, we're not eating now. We're ready to repair and clean up. Everybody clean up. You don't clean up the kitchen well, you do kind of while you're working, but you deep clean when you're not cooking in the kitchen, right? So your body does the same thing. All the deep cleaning happens when you're not eating. And so whenever you put something in your stomach, it's the stop mechanism. Okay, stop, because ghrelin shuts off, because it's stretch receptors that cause you to release or stop the ghrelin. So whenever you put water in, that's a stop mechanism, but it empties out pretty quickly, and then things go on. So water fasting is just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the gentleman actually here today was the one that brought in all this information. I started researching, and it was like, wow, actually you get so better results with dry fasting. And you have to work with your body. How well do you do that? I run a 5K almost every day, and so every other day. So if I'm doing a 3-day fast, and I'm running 2 5Ks in that time, I'm not going to do a dry fast. I'm going to drink water because I need water. So preventing dehydration is also important. So you have to weigh that. And some people just choose the weekend and they go, I'm going to kick back and relax and just not put anything in my mouth.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I already asked those. Okay. Move over to these. Okay. Someone said, what about red light therapy?
Okay. There is something there are proteins inside your cells that are part of the mitochondria, and they are sensitive to light. I mean, why would you have cells inside your body that are sensitive to light, right? You don't have lights inside your body, but they are. And one of the things that they do is turn on or off, like mitochondria, for example, when they receive light. So they actually absorb the energy from the light. And this light is the kind of light that penetrates through the skin. So it's red light. If you've ever looked at the sun through your hand, and so between your fingers, and you see the red coming through. Why is it red? Is it because there's blood in your hand? No, I always thought it was that. It's actually because all of the shorter wavelengths are absorbed by the skin and everything. And it's the longer wavelengths, red light, that penetrate through and go into the body. So red light therapy is light that goes through your skin, gets into your body, and turns on these proteins that are sensitive to light. And it turns on mitochondria, so it helps you make more energy. So it can improve your energy. It's actually good for you. And they have them now. They've done some research on this for brains, where they have these red lights, these LEDs, and you put this cap on that has these LEDs in it. And they can detect measurable differences in brain activity after using these lights. So it's a thing, and it works. And guess what? You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money buying all these little red lights. All you have to do is go out in the sunshine, because the sunshine has all those wavelengths that you're looking for. Has other ones too. Because of that, because the ultraviolet is also there, people get sunburned. And if you have darker skin, then you're not going to get sunburn. That's not even going to be an issue. But if you're worried about sunburn, you can do morning, like before 10 o'clock in the morning, or evening after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then there's very little of the ultraviolet, but a lot more of the relatively more of the red light. So you could just sunbathe and get all those benefits.
There's a question here from Fernando. He says, is there any validity that the root cause of diabetes is a parasite infecting your pancreas, or is that a scare tactic to sell their product?
I think it's a scare tactic to sell their product. There are a lot of different reasons for diabetes, and I'm not aware of any evidence that a specific parasite gets into the pancreas to cause diabetes. But there's most of the time, that's not what to worry about. Focus on the actual problem. What is really going on here? And it's not a pancreas problem unless you're not making insulin. So if you measure your C-peptide level and it's 2 or 3 or 5, then you're making plenty, and that's not a pancreas problem. So measure, get your numbers, and know what you're looking at so that you can treat it properly. Because if your insulin level is, like the one today, 2.2, her insulin level, and the doctor wants her to put her on insulin, that's ridiculous. You're making a ton of insulin, and more insulin is just going to make you more insulin resistant. So find out the reason why it's there and deal with the problem instead of just dealing with the symptom. And then, then you won't go off on these tangents of I've got to kill these parasites because they're killing me.
I think we're always looking for something a little bit easier where we could maybe just take a medication to try to get rid of something or a supplement, right? Let's take a supplement and hope that cancels out the 4 Snickers that I just ate. So
it's always been that way.
I know.
The doctor that wrote the first medical textbook on internal medicine said the difference between man and animals is man's desire to take pills.
I know.
And that was in the 1800s.
Yeah, what did they have back then?
Pills, all kinds of pills, potions, and all kinds of.
That reminds me of when people pray and say, "Dear Jesus, please help this McDonald's Big Mac and fries be healthy to my body." Amen. Yeah, it doesn't quite work that way.
I know, right?
I know.
Blessing the punch and cookies.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, we're running out of time. Okay, Lee said I tried a CBD gummy which had honeybee venom. Oh, this is interesting. I just watched an article about some of this. Okay, or watched a video, sorry. This did remove plaque and fats from my body, leaving via the kidneys after 6 months of use. Do you have an opinion?
No, I don't have an opinion. I don't know oral bee venom as I didn't know it was taken orally because bee venom is a protein that's going to be digested by the the stomach and intestines, and so I didn't know bee venom was taken orally. So I don't know. I have to research that.
Dana says Boluca or whatever it was that you were talking about has
Blou, yeah, Ke.
okay, has 26 milligrams of lumbrokinase per capsule. How much nattokinase do we need per dose or capsules?
Well, in nattokinase, they use an FU. I'm sorry.
Wait, what? What did you just say? All right, make that
Fibrinolytic,
into a short, Joe.
fibrinolytic units.
Turn it around.
So these, and it's like 4,000, what it is, fibrinolytic units, 4,000 is a typical dose for nattokinase.
Okay. All right. That is it for questions for today. And oh, here they come. More are coming. Sib said, I just got up off the floor. That's funny. And says bee stings lower your blood sugar. Bee stings lower your blood sugar. Interesting. Because they suck the sugar out of your blood, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't know that either.
Okay. Maybe because it's just so scared, all your blood leaves your body. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's probably it for us today. Anything else you guys have?
Not me. I'm gonna go outside because the sun is shining.
I know. Marcia said, how about lumbrokinase and what about serrapeptase?
Oh yeah, serrapeptase, another enzyme. Serrapeptase is enzyme primarily for taking the dead proteins out of your body, and it's a little different. It's a peptase is an enzyme that breaks down proteins, and so this breaks down certain proteins, and so it works a little differently. It's not, lumbrokinase is great. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, that's it. Cynthia,
All right.
wonderful weekend. Thank you
You
for
too.
natural
Bye.
cure wisdom. All right. Bye, you guys. We'll see you.